Believing in yourself starts here at Soft Pants Nation. Soft Pants Nation. Soft Pants Nation. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Welcome to Soft Pants Nation. My name is Amanda Duncan, and this is a show about believing in yourself. I think that's pretty much what I should just say, because I want people to believe in themselves, and I want to inspire people to feel accomplished and productive and just feel better in life in general. So, for those of you who watch the show, you know that I start off with an original tune, and my joke to myself is that this is a variety show, and a big part of it is music because I am a musician, and and the music part is always last. So I'm just gonna start off this show with an oldie but a goodie, which you guys heard me play a million times, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I'm just gonna enjoy myself, and if I enjoy myself, then you guys will enjoy yourselves. Here we go. Every night my mama told me be home by supper time. Deep fried chicken and apple pie, that sure will suit me fine. Put on my fancy party dress, roll my hair, can't look a mess. Takes a little longer than you might guess to shine my shoes and go. Don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing with a girl like me? Do 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 do. Soft pants. Man, I really think I'm funny. I'm not joking. I mean, you guys know if you watch the show, you know that I think I'm funny. I'm at the party shaking what I got. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. The two-step Charleston, get in line. Come on, I'll show you how. I'm going up a rug with my own 2 feet, swinging my hips, break it down to the beat. I'm the kind of girl that you like to meet, so take me for a whirl. Don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing with a girl like me? Do 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 do. Don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing? Don't you feel like dancing with a girl like me? Yeah, 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 yeah. Do 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 do. Okay. Oh man, I'm happy to be back. Guys, is anybody else having like gnat issues? There is nothing out of my kitchen, and I am getting these. Maybe you guys can tell me what they are. They're like little tiny gnats, but they have like moth wings. So when I hate to say this, please don't. Anyone who doesn't want me to kill bugs, I'm so sorry, but like they're just everywhere. When I kill them, please, I'm sorry. It's like moth dust, moth wing dust. Tell me what that is. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so let's see who's here. You guys give me a shout out, because Facebook doesn't let me know who's like in the chat. Like they don't know Facebook and YouTube. Like they don't like tell me. So if you can, hey Alberto, what's up? Susan, hey, what's up? Kelly, hi, how are you? All right. Hey, Jackie. Hey, how are you? I know I'm so happy that you're watching and on YouTube nonetheless. um, okay. So, maybe I'll go into the chat. Well, no, let me not get ahead of myself. Here we go. So, for those of you who watch the show, you know that I start off the show with a segment called Mover and Shaker of the Week. So this is my friend Danielle Wooley, and I am her co-worker at the job, my full-time job, and she's just been you start a new job and like you don't know who you're gonna connect with, and her and we met because there was a crafting hour that she had set up, and I was like, well, as you guys know, I love me some crafting, so I attended, and like most of the people like just hung out, and she and I did crafts and also hung out, and we just really connected, and I just thought she was so cool, and so since then we've been kind of everyday communication type of friends. So she is essentially almost a professional networker, and this isn't just at the job. Like she does like customer service oriented things, but she just like loves connecting with people, and I think that's probably why we relate to each other, is that she just loves connecting with people, and so do I, and she has just been someone who she also likes. Not only does she like connecting with people, she likes connecting people with other people, hence the networking queen that she is. So I'm going to go into what she has accomplished recently, and she's won an award. She's being recognized for the things that she's been doing for her community because she just loves people. So I'm going to read what she has to say. I've been interested in networking and giving back before I even knew it was what I was doing. Being the first in my family to go to college, Danielle, I'm also in that boat too, which is really crazy. Actually, no, first in the family, I've been the first woman to go to college, sorry. Losing my mother young, I'm so sorry to hear that, and then having multiple jobs or business ventures at the same time, and always having a feeling that I didn't quite fit into one specific group drove me to reach out and connect and support others through acts of service and community, which is like what a proactive way to do that. So it does take intentional time and energy, but it is rewarding. And I am honored to be the recipient of this year's Athena Young Professional Leadership Award, a challenge, which is like, I mean, if she's, I don't know, Danielle, I don't know if you're in the chat or not, but I really like, you guys can give her some hearts so when she watches the replay, she knows that you guys are giving her some props. A challenge leading up to now was trying to figure out the quote-unquote right thing I should be doing, and this award validated me that there are no right or wrong ways to spend your time when you are able to use your creativity and people skills to improve the quality of life and business in the community. Just be sure that you aren't forgetting to take care of yourself mentally and physically along the way, and reevaluating where your energy is going and the people and initiatives you are staying committed to as you change and grow. I mean, I like how I ask every mover and shaker of the week to give advice, but I like how she's sneaking little advice in there right now. But I mean, man, I was so happy that when you won this award and you were like sharing that info with everybody. I was just so pumped for you. And so right here, this is inspirational advice on how to move and shake. This is what Danielle wrote. If there is someone you admire or resonate with, reach out and connect with them. There is no reason to try and figure things out on your own or feel like there is no one else like you, which, I mean, you guys watching here, I mean, I know what it feels like to be an outsider, and I know most of you who are watching, know what it feels like. So, where am I? Okay. You will be surprised by how the right kinds of people are more than happy to chat with you, share a connection, or offer advice and support. If there's a challenge you see in the community, ask yourself how you can make it better. Have time? Donate it. Don't have the time but have extra money? Donate that. man, oh my gosh, I'm like, I need to take all these extra advice pieces and just put it in like a PDF for everybody. Uh, don't have time or money, but have a network or platform to spread awareness. Start somewhere. Don't make it complicated and be content in knowing that what you can do is enough. And I want to go into, I mean, I just, I love this advice. I think it's so, so, so great. And I wanted to show everybody that here's the, like, it was, the award ceremony was online and virtual, just like everything else is happening right now. But here's everybody, I guess, who was in the running. And then here's the award. I guess they ended up knocking on her door and delivered it to her like during the ceremony, which like makes me want to cry. It's like, because like everything now just feels like so cut off, and it's like to get that nice little surprise. It's like, oh, I'm waiting for this award, and then someone knock at your door to give it to you. I'm sure they were wearing a mask, and you were wearing a mask, though. I know that about you, Danielle. And then, and there she is in the photo. Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce presents the 2020 Virtual Athena Awards celebration. There she is with the flowers. Oh my gosh, she looks so cute. Anyway, everybody, I just want to really give it up to Danielle, because I just think that, she's just doing this out of the goodness of her heart. And just like a lot of us, like, we do things because we're not really looking for the recognition. We're doing it for the love of what we're doing. And I know that most of the people who watch the show, no one who watches this show is like in for the glory of something for the most part, right? And yeah, so Danielle, thank you so much for putting all these words together for me tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'm you know what? I'm gonna read the last paragraph again of your advice. If there's a challenge you see in the community, ask yourself how you can make it better. Have time? Donate it. Don't have time but have extra money? Donate that. Don't have time or money but a network or platform to spread awareness? Start somewhere. Don't make it complicated, and be content in knowing that what you can do is enough. And I just really, really, really love that. All right. Danielle, thank you. All right, let's go to the chat. Let's see. Oh, let me move my window here. There I am. Okay, so I just want to say, hey Tim, what's up? Hey, oh my gosh, it's so nice to see you. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. So if you guys are watching, let me know. I want to say hi to you, even to just like have a little like wave. I'll see your name and pop up in the chat. So my question for you guys for the week is which I think it's so funny, because I actually came up with this question even before reading what Danielle had written in her advice. How are you going to positively contribute to the world before the end of the month? And I know that sounds funny, like Thanksgiving's at, was it next week? I guess. But, it's like, okay, like, what are you thankful for? I think that it feels like everything has felt so crappy this year, and there has been some good news on the horizon. For some of us, things feel like they're kind of like improving, and now we hear this news about the vaccine, that one of the tests was 95% effective. So hey, that feels really, really, really good. And but I guess when you do good things for the world or the community, or just in general, like, honestly, like, will you be able to donate $5 to something that, $5 could be half of a meal for somebody through a food bank? So I don't know how much, or maybe it's 2 meals. It depends on the food bank. So think about it. You don't have to put it in the chat per se, challenge by choice, but I want you guys to know that you can think about these things like monthly. Like, I want to try to find a way to contribute to a food bank. Last year I did not have a ton of money, and it was a struggle to buy food for me, and it was like I didn't want to tell people that in my family. No one in my family really watches the show except my cousin Susan, so I think I'm kind of covered in talking about this, but I was very embarrassed about it. And it's really, really important for me people need food. And so that's kind of what I'm going to make that part of my cause. And I just want to make the world a better place. And that's part of why I do this show. Okay, so on to the next segment. I wanted to I'm so pumped about this guest because I don't always have guests on the show, but when I do, I just always think that they're always pretty close friends of mine or just people that I know are going to inspire you guys. Inspire you. Sorry, I was just distracted that my cousin Susan said she's going to tell everyone in my family that I couldn't buy food. All right. All right. So, I just I get inspired from these conversations, and you guys see me. I'm having just as many struggles as everybody else trying to put out content and produce content like with my music or accomplish things. And these conversations we're all in this together. We all have the same type of struggles. And so I'm going to put on my headphones here so I can hear. I'm gonna go into the interview. Wait, that's the chat. Hold on, we gotta go to the interview room. Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi. So I'm so happy, everybody. This is Rob Christie. Now, the story of me meeting Rob Christie. Okay, so those of you who know, my partner, my love, Joanna Burns. She is a piano and voice teacher, and she taught Rob's friends, Kelsey and Anna. I don't know. I think Kelsey took voice lessons, and maybe she took piano for a little while, but I know that Anna took piano for a long time with her. And then you guys were close friends with them, and then you're just to me ever since you were a teenager. We met when you were a teenager. You were in high school.
A child.
Yes,
You
you.
met me when I was a child.
Yes. So, yeah. So I I'm trying to think. I just always saw you as a force of nature. Always.
Well, I always saw you as a force of nature. I've always been so inspired by you and Joanna's talent. And to be here in 2020 when we met in
Oh my
2007,
god.
probably, and I was a kid in school, but one of the coolest things about that time was um I never felt like you look down or talk down to me
Oh.
or my peers or my friends, Kelsey and Anna, Tim, Jackie, everybody's watching. Um, you never talked down to us like we were kids, you never kind of gave us that patronizing pat on the back and said, "Great show, guys." Like you always treated us like equals. So being able to come back after all this time and talk shop is
Right.
still so cool. And I'm really grateful for your continued support over the years.
Well, what's so great about time, which I know sounds funny, but with passing time is that now we get to be legitimate friends. Like we text each other and say, "Hey, like this was awesome. I
Yeah.
love that you did this. This is inspiring to me." And I remember so you grew up in a town that's pretty white bread to put it
Republican.
yeah. So very tight when it comes to just um anything different, right? So you were
Yeah.
this flamboyant, creative force of nature, as I'm saying, where you were just like, oh, I have these creative ideas and I'm going to like show the world what I'm made of. And you would make they would have film festivals at the high school that the high school kids would like make films for, and you would make these insane creative basically like how did a teenager make this horror film. And I remember you made this one horror film and you used my song, the Cookie Song, and
Yep.
you're like, oh, can I use it? I'm like, well, yeah, sure, of course. Like, so I was so pumped about it. And then but when I saw it, I was like, me and Joanna were like, oh, oh my god, oh my god. Like, it was just so impressive. And it was impressive not just for a teenager. It was just impressive, which is, that's just such an exciting thing. Where
Well, the song definitely enhanced it. I Everybody loves the song. And it's so funny because that movie's now, 10 something years old and people still talk about it and they still talk about the Cookie song. I can hear it in my head right now.
That song, that's a song that definitely has some longevity. I'm hoping one day to ever get it in a commercial. One day,
It's the
it
season.
is the season. But the thing is, I think they place holiday commercials in the summer. Anyway,
Mm.
that's besides the point. This is not about me. This is about you. So now, over the years, okay, you go to film school, and I remember at the tail end of film school, you had worked on a couple things, and I remember you were like, it's just so expensive to make any kind of production and film. It's just like the manpower, the equipment, anything, even
Mhm.
rentals. Like it's just like, really tough, and
It adds up
it
quickly.
sure does. So you had made a couple projects, and I remember like trying to like I was always trying to be a cheerleader for you, and then you decided at the end of film school that your last project was going to be this short film that was inspired by a short story by Stephen King. Just go into that. So let's. I want to.
So, yeah, so, I had a major case of writer's block, didn't know what I wanted to make as a third-year film in college, and a good friend of mine, who's also a local, musician, Avery Mandeville,
Oh
said, "Have
my!
you ever heard." We
Oh
love
my
Avery.
gosh!
Um So
Yeah.
she's like, "Have you ever heard of this thing called the Dollar Baby?" And I said, "No." And she told me about it. And basically, Stephen King has a program for young filmmakers, upcoming filmmakers, for the price of $1. You can option the rights to selection, one of his short stories. And I went through and I read a whole bunch of them. And I said, "All right, this one about, child trafficking. Sure, that's right up my alley. I love tormenting kids." So we went with that, and I did a whole GoFundMe thing. We ran this huge campaign, got it funded, as best we could,
Yeah.
and, the, tricky thing about it was we shot it, it was great. It absolutely exhausted me, to the point where I manifest stress physically a lot of times, so, like, I was really going through it through the whole thing, and then, you know, fast forward, my junior year of college was up, and they said, "Okay, well, whatever you were working on, now you have to focus on thesis."
Oh god.
So I pivot and I go to thesis. Fast forward, time flies by, especially in New York. Thesis was done. I put all my time and energy and money into that, to the point where I graduate and I've got this fancy degree and like $3 to my name. And I'm like, how do I stay in New York? What do I do? So, yeah, there was a bit of a pivot, and I got more into live theater and drag and those things. But having the time in 2020 to come back and say, grab the air duster and clean out my hard drives and say, "What do we have here? How do I get back to this?" Because I know a lot of people were cheering me on, yourself included. You donated not only your time, but your money to the project. And, I wanted to get it out there. And I got back into it and I said, "Why was I sitting on this for so
Yeah.
long? Everybody put in their best work, and it deserves to see the light of day, even if contractually with Stephen King, it can't be made public." So, yeah, if you want to see it, DM me.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, and I do have the trailer to show everybody on the
Oh,
episode.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can show that.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's just I guess I'll just get into that. Let me play right now. Oh, wait.
You get lost from your dad, son?
I can't find my pops.
We should just hop in the van back here and I'll just take you right to him.
Stop fighting, you little freak!
Popsy, fly.
Enough of the popsy shit, man, okay?
And okay, so everybody, there's the trailer, and Joanna and I finally took the time yesterday because I know that she had put in for the private link, and we watched it last night, and like even just like the opening, I'm going, and I knew with the trailer, I was already impressed, but when just like within the first like 30 seconds, we were both like, whoa. Okay, like just the production value alone, and even acting, like you had some pretty good actors there.
Yeah, Chris Griggs was our lead, and um, something I did intentionally with casting was it was such a dark role, right? This guy's like the scum of the earth. He's kidnapping children and selling them on the black market or whatever. And this was 5 years ago that we shot this. So this is before QAnon reared its ugly head. And it's funny to see it kind of tie into that now when I look at how the certain characters interact in the film. And anyway, but yeah, Chris is a great stand-up comedian. And I wanted to cast somebody who had a bit more of a lighthearted nature in the way that Robin Williams would be cast in later on in his career in some
Sure.
really dark roles,
Yeah.
but he still brought this kind of lightness to it, so it wasn't completely, just a disgusting human being.
Yeah, it was
Um,
it was like a strange thing because it's short. I mean, how long is it?
yes, it's 11 minutes, 10
Yeah.
minutes. So I don't know if you necessarily will get that from that short amount of time, but in going into it and approaching it and directing with him and casting him is we wanted somebody who kind of brought a lightness to the darkness of the story.
Yeah, and I mean, even the kid was great. Like it was just so
Oh,
yeah.
little Rafferty, I found out. So that's another thing is time moves differently for us as adults, right? Like we
Yeah,
generally we look what we look the same as we do 5 years ago.
right.
That kid 5 years ago, I think he was 7 or 8.
Uh-huh.
So now he's like
No,
13.
my God.
Right? So
Yeah,
there's a big
that is
difference
a big
there,
difference.
and from what I've heard is I felt guilty. I was like, "Man, he's probably, like, telling all his friends he was in this cool horror movie, some Stephen King movie all these years ago, but nobody believes him because nobody ever saw it."
Right.
Turns out he's too scared to even watch it now, so
Oh no. Okay, well, I guess yeah.
he'll get around
It's
to
it's
it. He'll get around
it's
to
more
it.
like creepy than like super scary. It's that I mean, yeah, it's
Unsettling. Yeah.
unsettling. Yeah, like you don't know how you feel the whole time. You're like, wait, what's happened? Like, wait, what? Like, so there is that unsettled feeling. But so, and I know we were talking about a few things before, even yesterday via text, and then even today before the show started about you wait so long to do something like you release this movie, right? So it's like, oh, like I'm gonna do drag, and because you were telling me you're like, oh, I want to do drag because you always performed like in high school, and you had done things along the way, and I think you're an incredible actor. I think, and also not to mention you did that makeup, right? That was you. That was
Yes.
in the like wait, is in the preview, I'm sorry, was there
Yeah.
yeah, the creepy
Uh,
man.
yeah. I make a cameo in the film and under
Cameo.
lots of makeup
Yeah.
because I don't necessarily. I originally, wasn't even going to credit myself in the credits of the film because it's not necessarily an ego thing to be in my work. Um, it's just kind of facilitating all the different things I like to do, which is makeup, which is acting and character acting.
Well, it
So
was one less
that's another
person you
reason
also
I
had to
chose the
pay too.
project,
You had one less person you had to pay.
right? Well, actually, I mean, that's another reason this film had to get out is nobody was paid.
Right.
This was completely a labor of love from everybody, so I
Yeah.
wanted them all to be able to enjoy it. But yes, my friend Miwa, who's a brilliant production designer and makeup artist, as well as writer and director, she assisted me with the makeup, and the goal with the makeup there was to make the character look kind of like Stephen King on LSD or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
S-
but the makeup and the production and just like everything. It's funny because I had tried and failed to do a drone shot. I really am. I was never I was never good at flying drones. And then you had like, oh, maybe you can film like this van from like you can follow it, and like I was like, and the technology back then wasn't like as good as it is now. Like now you just have a drone. It's like follow this thing, and the
Well,
drone does, and then like it just. But anyway, but like I'm not even saying like I was happy that you even asked me, and regardless of that, me not like doing a good job, which because I didn't really know what I was doing.
and that had nothing to do with you doing a good job. It was, if I remember correctly, we ran late during shooting, so you were kind of waiting around for us. And by the time we got
It was
to
too dark.
execute these shots, it was just too late in the day for anything to register on the camera.
Well,
So don't beat yourself up 5 years later. I'm the one that's supposed to be kicking my own ass about this project.
well,
You gotta let it go, baby.
well, I mean, you were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, your clip didn't make it." I'm thinking, I know it wasn't gonna make it in there, but okay. But when I went to your parents' house, and everybody, like the whole crew, was waiting there, and like everyone had all their equipment out, I'm thinking, oh, this is serious. Like I could feel how people knew what they were doing. Like, they were your friends from film school, but also like they just knew what they were doing because everyone's like, we're making films and we take it very seriously because that's what people who go to film school do. That's what you do. But you know, I want to talk a little bit about the imposter syndrome that we were talking about today before the show, because it's, I'm having the same issue with like releasing my album, and I want to talk a little bit with you about some of my plans to just kind of like get off my butt to just do just like release it. But I guess like what do you feel like your hangups were?
There was a lot of them. So a lot of it was just the timeline of how fast life in New York moved and life in college moved, that the project quickly, fell to the side and got put on the back burner. Otherwise, I'm a huge Stephen King fan. So I was so excited in the beginning to have the opportunity to do this. But then, you know, given the resources I had when I was adapting the story, I changed that script a lot. Like, that is the essence of the story is there,
Right.
but I did what I imagine he hates, which is took a lot of creative liberties. So I found myself looking at this footage and I was like, well, I made a cool film, but contractually I'm supposed to send it to him, and like, what if my idol hates it?
Uh-huh.
So that was another reason that I just kind of was like, I don't want to face that if I get rejected by someone that I look up to so intensely. I had that happen with Bette Midler once, and she called security on me, and that's a whole nother story. And I was like, I'm not up for that again. So
Well, I mean, that makes total sense. I don't think Stephen King seems like a pretty cool guy. I don't think you would necessarily,
yes.
yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to realize that. And then I've also looked at other adaptations of his work, and I'm like, there's no way this guy gives a rat's ass about my 10-minute movie. So I need to get over it. And then otherwise, having acted in the film myself, I was looking at the footage and I didn't like it initially. I didn't like that I was in it. I thought I made a mistake by putting myself in the film because I wasn't able to look at it objectively.
Mm.
I was too in the moment. So, uh, also, a lot of my peers in film school were making really powerful films, like about deeply about the human condition and what it is. And I'm over here with like, vampires and kidnapping kids, and that also kind of fed into my hysteria and my of thinking that it wasn't worthy.
Right.
And now having so much time, I think 5 years is excessive, but I
Do you know
do
how long?
think.
Would you know when I started my record? Please, it's nothing. Go ahead.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that because, and I try to forgive myself often because I'm like, it's your project, it's your process, it's your
Yep.
time, and I am so glad that I came back to it 5 years later because I was able to open up those files and I had no attachments to anything that I was seeing anymore. A lot of the times you'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it is, not hundreds of thousands, what I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
on a day, and then it doesn't work out, right? But you're like, well, I spent so much time and money on this that it stays, and you want to keep it in the movie, and it doesn't work.
Right.
But 5 years later, I don't really remember that. So I'm like, well, let's just do what works.
Right.
And
I love
being able to
the transitions, like everything like about it. I really, really like that. I don't know when was it mostly edited, and then you were just
it was mostly done. It was mostly done, but I had hit a wall with it to the point where uh, I couldn't figure out what it needed. Like I knew it needed more, and I was so tired of asking people for help. That's another thing is I hate to ask for
we
help.
all do. We
Uh,
all do.
so here I am, I felt like I bit off more than I could chew. I didn't want to ask a person for another goddamn thing because they all work so hard already. I'm not trying to ask for more.
Right.
And yeah, but it was mostly done, and I was able to come back and look at it, and I no longer had hit that wall. I was like, oh well, it needs audio here, it needs this,
Yeah.
more distortions, tighten this up, and it just
Yeah, I love the
it
sound
came
design.
together.
The sound design, like it's so funny because like over the years I've done a couple sound design projects. I'm like, man, I love doing this. So that's like
Oh, it's so fun.
yeah, it's a great time. When like because that makes it people don't realize there's so many parts to it, right? It's like
Oh my
the
god.
it's just like okay, yeah, not just like the crew and the camera and like you have the audio person, but then you have the lighting person. There's just so many
Uh-huh.
things that are involved in it that you don't that most people like when you read like the list of credits and you're like, why are there so many people? It's like, well, like you just need so
Yeah.
much assistance for it, and
Oh yeah,
yeah,
my laptop nearly fried because I worked when I do work, I work fast and intense, and I like, I could have cooked an egg on my damn computer over here.
yeah. I
I'm
know
glad it's done.
exactly. Just because of any kind of video, and like if you're like processing or exporting anything, forget it. But
Mhm.
so now I do want to I want to talk a little bit more about like what now. So like I actually want to show everybody. I want to show really quick just a photo of you in drag. This is the photo that you sent me today, and but I remember we had talked, and I'm like, oh, like because you were so making so like you were just like, I'm gonna make movies, and then when I think that part of it is like that struggle for like, I gotta make money, and then you kind of fall into something that you're like, all right, well, like this is basically paying the bills, and like I don't hate it, like I actually really enjoy it. But then part of it, and I've been talking about this a lot, about how just because you're really good at something doesn't mean it has to be the thing that you do for the rest of your life, and I mean, obviously drag is something that I think is definitely part of who you are. For those of you guys, I have I have Rob's Instagram handle. And if you want an interesting and engaging channel to follow on Instagram, please follow. It is just like, but like this is stuff that you post is just like ridiculous,
Well,
and but like mostly because you have like, you're not trying to fit
be
into
pretty.
anything. Yeah, you're just trying. You're like, not be pretty. That's not even it. You're just trying to be authentically the drag queen that you are meant to be. And that doesn't mean that you're fitting in this box. You're like, I think that I'm going to have this outfit, and I'm gonna have my chest hair and a beard, and that's who this person is. And I think that, and I'm sure there's like, is it like we are there like people who are like people who really like like try to look like super super queeny and like very feminine?
Yeah.
Like, is there like these like sectors where they're like, oh no, like don't do that?
So it's an incredibly saturated industry,
Ah,
and with the popularity of Drag Race, RuPaul's
yeah.
Drag Race, and then that shift to VH1 really boosted it into the mainstream. But you've known me for a long time, and I've been cross dressing, since I met you. In fact, you were the inspiration. No, but
Why? Thank you.
um,
No.
but so yeah, so some people's goal is to be the most gorgeous woman, and I salute
Yeah.
that. And But that was never my goal. My goal was just to have fun with it. And as far as the pivot after college, and getting more heavily into drag, was, we got to look at the timeline here, and it's relevant again. Is uh, Donald Trump was elected president,
Hmm.
right before I graduated college. So that really was a mental shift for me, where I kind of really rejected, a lot of ideas, and about the country and about America and about like what I had to do with my life. And it really was a big. It started as a big fu.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's also just, you know part of my journey as a queer person, as a gay
Hmm.
person, was I wanted to really go all the way in and explore every corner of it, to really get a better idea of myself. And I feel like I've always been pretty sure of myself, and my identity, but I really just wanted to test the waters. And in New York City, it is just all there for you,
Yeah.
and you are welcomed with open arms to explore those things. And what had started out originally with, some bearded drag and just kind of kooky looks, eventually, over time and over 4 years, turned into what I now prefer to only do with it, which is character impersonations, which brings me all the way back to those early days of acting and theater and character work. That is where I'd like to go with it. I don't really have any interest in showing up to turn the party anymore. That's exhausting. But if you want anybody that's in my roster of characters like that, I love, because it's not even, something where I just show up to the event and do it. It's kind of like I will spend the week leading up to that party or that gig or whatever it is, researching the character and just kind of like really trying to live like them and think like them and get their mannerisms down. So that comes back to character work, and then it kind of slips away from drag. So now I'm in this place where it's like, well, I've honed some of those skills, and I don't want to continue existing in a bar setting because let me tell you, it is toxic.
Well, it's not
Um,
just toxic though. Like, I mean, the when you how well, I'm not going to ask you your age if you don't want to tell me, but like when you hit like 25, and then like you're starting to like after a while, you're like, oh, everything's starting to hurt a little bit. I can't.
yep,
I need more sleep. I can't do the like 3 or 4 hours a night because like I will fall apart. My
yep,
whole entire body and being will fall apart. And so after that, you're like, okay, like something has to give. And then also it's like your vision of life. It's like, okay, like where am I going? Like what am I doing with my
yeah.
life? But all of these things, right? Like there's you have. I'm actually gonna go back to the main interview room. I think everybody got the photo long enough, but uh,
Huh.
I think being able to so it's like now like that you have okay now that you've honed this skill of
Uh-huh.
drag and like your own brand of drag really, and now you have this movie out like where this short out right. What do you feel is the next step for you, and how do you think you might approach that? Like how do you think that you're going to take those next steps?
So, this kind of circles back to imposter syndrome and everything. Is is there are things in my mind and life goals that I've had that I've either refused to admit to myself or refused to say them out loud or even refused to pursue them. And as far as drag goes, I was watching the early seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race in like 2008, 9 on Logo, and I remember sitting there as a little boy and being like, okay, that's plan C right there, you know? And I kept that to myself. And then I moved to New York and I was like, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be plan C, but I can explore it. So yeah, now that I've honed those skills and I have the movie, I have one more short, which is my thesis film from college, which had a pseudo release at the time of graduation where we were, scheduled to show our
Oh, I
films,
think I
but
remember that. Yeah.
yeah, but it's not where it was supposed to be. Um,
Of course
and
it
then
wasn't.
no. So, but now time has
Yeah.
passed and I've gone back and I've started working on that one again and I'm able to cut things out and it's looking good. So I'm happy about that. There's different, I don't know. I love sketch comedy. I always look at the cast of SNL and I'm like, where's the drag queen? They have gender bending characters, but like,
Yeah.
where's I don't see myself there represented there, not even me personally as a cast member, but just like somebody like me,
Sure.
I'm like, where's the Chris Farley but the cross-dresser version?
Well, it's so funny when you were talking about Logo, the Logo channel. I mean, I remember watching the Big Gay Sketch Show, and a
Yes.
lot of those people have not a lot. I mean, I know that a handful of them have. I think Nicole Polone, she's been doing some big things like lately, like
Hmm.
writing and directing some like pretty like decent size like productions, and then of course Kate McKinnon was on there, and that's how yeah, I know. Like so like,
Yes.
when I me and Joanna would watch the show, we're like, this girl is just so funny. Like everything she does is so great. So when I don't know if you went to go see the show that Joanna did at George Street. I mean, forget how.
Over at Rutgers,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So Kate.
Kate fed Kelsey and I donuts in the front row as she did her little red skit,
Oh,
and she was
oh
brilliant.
yeah, she was brilliant. So like, and the reason like, and I think that actually this kind of ropes back into what Danielle Wooley and her advice of like just like reach out to people. So we we reached out to Kate McKinnon on MySpace that when dinosaurs roamed the earth, and that's how we became friends with her because
Uh-huh.
she was like Joanna's like, hey, I just want to I don't want a music opener. I want a comedy opener. And she's like, okay. And then we like that whole summer, we spent like a lot of time together hanging out.
Uh-huh.
And so you have like these things that are like these, it's funny. The Logo channel is like, it's like kind of like pivotal in certain ways for
Mhm.
me, just because like when I'm like, wait, there's a channel for me, what, huh? And like I remember growing up, and I don't know. I mean, even because I'm still back in the area where I'm still in Hazlitt, and I do feel pretty stifled here. A lot of times I feel like I can't, like I want to live on a street where I can put out a rainbow flag and
Mhm.
feel like my house won't get burned down. So, and like in my neighborhood, I wouldn't necessarily feel all that safe to do that. And
Especially during these
yes,
times.
it's pretty
Yeah.
rough. So, but now you have this. I'm sorry, I kind of went off on that tangent. But just like thinking about, so you have these things that like these little things that these seeds, right? It's like, oh, like I always wanted to do, like for me, like I want to be able to write stories just that are like kind of like Pixar movies where you're like, wow, like how did they do that? It's amazing. And so
Yeah.
so when you think of things like that where it's like, oh, like, but if people have done it, you can do it, right? Like when you see those people on, like when
Yes.
you see people on Drag
So
Race, like you're like, oh, I can do that, or like there's always this breakthrough person. So like you don't know. I mean, and I think also like SNL, like over the years, it's like, oh, do you ever read Tina Fey's book where it's like, oh, there's no one ever
I
funnier.
have not.
So there's this part in her, it is wonderful. It's a very funny, well written book, but she talks about how that what is it, basically there's nothing funnier than a man in drag, a man like dressed up as a woman, and that would always be like a go-to. And it's like, well, why can't like Amy Poehler just be the woman? She's funnier than it would be. She knows how to deliver the lines better than this person who's dressed up in drag. So I think that like over the years, like that's been like a sensitive topic, but you can make it something where like this is like, oh, that's that person's thing. So yeah, I think that
Yeah, and exactly that. And I definitely see, not to get into the whole gender binary and
yeah.
everything, but Kate, they use Kate as kind of a vessel on SNL to, I mean, she plays Rudy Giuliani, like my God, but there's just there's an avenue there, and I feel like they're not exploring it. So
Yeah.
I certainly don't think I have the chops for that, but I would love to see that on the horizon for them. And as for myself, I would like to get more involved into sketch comedy and theater and live entertainment is
Yeah.
really fulfilling because, as we mentioned earlier before the show, the curtain drops and it's over and you go to bed, and if you made a mistake,
Yep.
whatever, you don't have a DeLorean, you can't go back in time to fix it. Whereas when you have a film project, or if you're painting on an easel,
Yes. Or
you can
or an
keep going back,
album. Ugh.
or an
Yeah.
album, and you can just keep going back and you will exhaust yourself
Right.
because of the endless possibilities of trying to be a perfectionist with it. So I really enjoy live performances, and that's a lot of where the drag came in. Is like, well, the number worked or it didn't, but I got a few free drinks and I get to go home and rework it later. But
Well, and that's the
that's
same with this like
yeah.
live show for me, right? It's like, well, like when I perform live, I mean now it feels like is anything, well, like we can't be in front of people. So like the reaction I have right now is are like people typing in the chat. But now it's like I'm like,
Hmm.
all right, how can I expand this? How can I make this? Because I don't want to stop being creative in a way where I'm trying to interact with people, because I want to inspire people on a daily basis if I can. And I think that for me it's like, okay, like how I found a way, like at all these like bells and whistles that I have on the show, I found a way to put the bells and whistles into like a Zoom call, which I'm like, oh, like, well, that's great. I'm like, oh, what if I have a crafting hour with like just the people who watch the show, and we can just talk and
uh
hang out. Or I can teach people how to make something out of clay. Like I can teach. Like it's like, all right, these are the supplies you have to order. We're gonna hang out on this date, and it doesn't, like having things like that where it's still that connection. And so I guess like for you being, I was like, how can I work on this live show so when like I come out of all this garbage, that I'm gonna be able to come out like a cannonball, and people go, oh, okay, I can see that you were working during the pandemic. So like is there like, do you have any of those kinds of plans yet?
Yes. So I I hesitate to say it out
Oh,
loud just because everything is still so uncertain. But no, the goal is to get my ass out to the West Coast
okay.
and be in a city like Los Angeles where it is really focused on that type of work. And I think I would stay more focused on it because New York is just so much splendor and everything is gratuitous and the hours are just very different hours. It's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
And I think I owe it to myself and I owe it to the people who have supported me through all these years to give, quote unquote Hollywood a shot,
Yeah.
even though I have many reservations about the culture out there and everything.
It is tough. I mean, I have
Uh
a lot of friends that are out there, and I think that what a lot of people are seeing is like they're trying to pitch different things or try to do that, and then people are like, "Why don't you just like make this? Like, why don't you just try to make this on your own? Like, why don't you, like?" And that's been like a lot. It's like that vicious circle. It's like, bit like, wait, I came out here to like do this thing, and you're telling me, wait, just make it make it myself. So I think that
mhm.
basically finding that balance of like still pushing yourself to reach that goal, but also to also continue to work on the some of these ideas on your own, so at least you still can have that fulfillment and not get that like get so tired from the
Yes.
rejection of it all.
Yes. And as far as the time in my life that I was producing most of these projects, I was still figuring things out. I mean, I moved to New York at 18.
Hmm.
I graduated at 23, 22, 23, whatever. It doesn't matter. I was just figuring me out
Right.
simultaneously trying to, you know, satisfy all the people around me that were supporting me and reach maintain a certain level of quality of work with the school I was at. So it was just a lot of pressure. And I think that that's why I once I got the degree, I pulled
Yes, I
back a
get
little
it.
bit because it was just so much in such a short amount of time uh, that it exhausted me. But I do think, this year has been so horrendous in so many ways, but it's also been really good for the soul in a
Yes.
lot of
Well,
ways.
you're taking the time to soul search. It's good for the soul
Yeah,
because you're like, what? Like, and a lot of people have had, like, if for those of us who have been lucky enough where it's like, all right, we're healthy and we're able to like be safe in our daily living, where it's like, okay, like I have some time to, and that's like what, and I've still done this show because I want people to know that now eh, depending on how productive you can be on your own, I think that it's like, oh, just because sorry, I hear Joetta screaming. She's at a networking event in the other room. Sorry. I hear her screaming. But like some people have had such a hard time. They're like, I can't get anything done right now. Like my brain just can't function right now. And I think that's okay. But for those of us who can get past that, like try and
yes.
do the things that you're like,
And
yeah,
and be kind to yourself about it
yes,
too is there's
yeah,
always this insane pressure to perform as artists and it's not easy right now. The only reason I'm able to put anything out right now is because I picked up a project that was done before the world went to shit. So I it not only was it all kind of already laid out for me and I just had to fine tune, it was also I don't know what this says about my mental state, but like it transported me back in time to the point where when I was sitting there working on it, I was like, it's still 2015,
yeah,
and that was a really nice escape, even though that is not the reality. It was a really nice escape. As far as new original projects, I have ideas all the time, but no, I'm too manic to sit down and execute anything.
yeah,
And it's a very distracting world we live in right now to try and get any of that out.
right.
And as artists, you sing from your heart and what you're feeling, and like screamo isn't your genre, so like I don't know how you're gonna filter it through your Amanda Duncan lens, but I just want to scream all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and part of it, what I tell myself I do tell myself, and I don't know if I've ever said this on the show, but the best revenge is or success is you having success,
Yes.
and that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like over the years I've had a lot of people make me feel like, what are you even bothering with this for? And I'm like, well, no, I really believe in myself, and I'm gonna be doing this. I'm going to be making art and creating things till the day I die, and I'm not going to have anybody tell me that I can't achieve this. And so a part of it is, and I'm not doing it for that. Like I'm not doing it to
Hmm.
like be like, I'll show you. Like, I mean, for me, it's like I've always kind of been someone to create things, and actually, it's funny. Joanne and I were having this conversation yesterday, where I have all these ideas. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like save up for this video equipment. Actually, I'm using like some of it now. Like, I'm gonna save up for this video equipment. I'm gonna make all these music videos for my album. Blah blah blah. So I get all this equipment together, and then it's like, well, now I've got to learn like how to like sculpt like 3D rooms so I could green screen myself. And Joanna's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You have all this stuff that you basically built up all of your stuff like to make these music videos. Like, just simplify, because right now you're never going to release this album if you just keep having these like you're moving the goalposts for yourself, and you're not going to get anything done. So we are filming a music video this weekend, and yes, now because of the pandemic, it's not the original concept that I wanted, but I'm like, you know what, this camera that I'm using as my webcam, it shoots in slow-mo in a way where it's like slow-mo makes music videos, right? Like, you look at it like, oh,
Hmm.
we sped up the song twice the speed, and I'm going to have to sing the song. It's going to be very difficult to do because the song isn't that slow.
Oh, that's fun
Yeah,
though.
so but we're just gonna go and film it, and after that it's just gonna be just kind of pushing, because
Yeah.
again, it's you see people, we were talking actually before the show started, where it's like, we have a lot of friends who they just keep pushing out content, and is it great? Not necessarily, but they are moving forward. They have a fan base, or basically the support, where that's going to enable them to continue to make more stuff. And for me, it's like you just feel like I just been sitting around when I could have
Hmm.
definitely finished this. And I think part of it is not having that goal. Like, what's the date? What's the release? Well, guess what? January, I'm going to be starting to release all of these music videos. That's going to give me the time to,
Giving
yeah.
yourself a date
Yes.
really helps.
Yeah.
It really does. I told myself um, with the Popsy film is I went on a road trip to Maine. I had always wanted to go there. I finally had the time to do it, and I went and I visited Stephen King's house, and I was standing outside of it, and I just kind of was like, okay, when I get back to New Jersey, Halloween, it's out. I don't
Yeah.
care where it's at, it's done. So, yeah, giving yourself the January date because your work is amazing. You've always had amazing work, but I now know that you're like me where
Yeah. Yeah.
you'll just hang on to it as a perfectionist, but there's no use in being stuck in the past with it
No.
or holding on to it because the world moves, and especially the way that people digest content now,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I sent out the film to everybody that had donated or supported, and I didn't get replies from a good portion of the people because I know that they've moved on.
Yeah.
And, that is, that was to be expected.
That probably would have
I didn't
happened
think
anyway. Honestly, we know
it
how
would have happened
people
anyway.
just don't write back. They're like and especially the way like the world has been moving pretty quickly anyway. So I think that when people just don't write back, it's like, well, that's just kind of how things are.
Well, there's that.
So I mean,
But it also put it in perspective to me to
yeah,
think that this thing that has been weighing on me and has been so important to me as a project, you know, isn't necessarily the most important thing in the world to other people.
yes, yes,
So
you are so right, and
so
yeah,
you can give up that idea of like it has to be the most astounding perfect thing ever
yeah,
to please everybody because it's never going to be
no,
that.
it's never.
And uh it's taken me years to understand that as somebody who creates.
Yeah, and I think was so, and there's different things that, again, like the scheduling. It's like, all right, well, I have this creative idea, and when you look at certain friends of yours, like let's say the people who put, "Hi, puppy." Oh my gosh. I
It's my baby.
when you have friends who do put out really great content and consistently, you look at them and go, "Oh, well, what do you do?" And they just say, "I'm just consistent. I do this every single day." And actually on the
Trust fund.
yeah, well, because when you do struggle to pay the bills, that is part of it, right? But another big part of it is just there's a discipline in scheduling. And if you're not going to schedule your time,
Mhm.
we all know that, right? It's like, okay, like, yeah, well, I don't have the money to do this, but I could totally do this because I have the means. I
Mhm.
could do this or that, or I can create these things without the money. And there's a lot of people who make other things that are just fine or even good without the means that, like, I have this camera now that it's like a cinema camera, and it's like I've seen people make really bad stuff on this camera, and I've seen stuff where like people like make these films that I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so
Yep.
it's like, it's the same camera, it's just really the vision and the discipline and getting it done.
Well, that's a whole other topic, which I don't know if we should totally dive into, but it is this idea of like you and I as people who have pursued, media and entertainment and video professionally. Now every jackass in the world has one of these,
Yeah.
and especially through quarantine, people who've never done anything are I don't want to put anybody down. I've seen some really amazing things come out of people
Yeah.
who otherwise would have never even ventured into something like this. So it's a highly competitive field, and some people achieve success through TikTok and no talent. Um, by
Yeah.
but that's just the nature of society now, and that's kind of frustrating and disheartening to people like you and I who think so intensely about what we do and care so much about the work we put out there, and then somebody makes a funny little 15-second video, and they're far more recognized than you and
Right.
I may ever be, and it's a hard pill to
It is a
swallow,
hard pill to
but
swallow, but part of it too is just saying, I remember there was this I had to interview this musician for I forget who it was, but one of the most impactful things, I think it was Nicole Atkins. And she said, like, all these people are like, "Oh, I just want to be better than so and so." And she's like, "I'm just trying to be better than myself." And I think but we all, yes, it is
yep.
a kind of annoying when like some of these people are like creating stuff and it's like, oh, this like, how come this cat was like, and
Uh-huh.
then it's like millions of views, and I'm like putting my blood, sweat, and tears into this project, and it has like 100 views. And I think really in the end, we just have to know that we are creating good things, and that's okay.
That we're worth
Yeah,
it.
that we're
Yeah,
worth
and
it.
that and you have to shake off, because the whole algorithm and Instagram and social media, that's all new.
Yeah.
You know, not even 10 years old in the way that we know it now.
Right.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
and it's a whole new frontier, and it's frustrating, but we're navigating it.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I would still rather be me with my small following and the work that I make
Yeah.
than be some of these other people that think they've know what they're doing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
I totally get where you're coming from, and I think that what but you are forgiving of yourself. It's like, you know what, this is what I have to show for myself, but I'm proud of it. And I do feel that way about myself too. But I feel like I'm kind of at the point where I I just want to share all these things. It's like I'm not even writing new songs because I'm like, oh, I have these songs from like 10 years ago that I've been singing forever, and it's like, wait a minute, like this is stupid. Like I love songwriting. I feel like I'm a good songwriter, and I'm like,
you are.
but it's like almost like I'm like purposefully making myself constipated, and it's like, all right, give myself this enema and get this stuff out so I can at least move on. And I think that's I want the quality to be good, but also I want to bring joy, and I think that bringing joy to people, part of that is just putting some stuff out and like, and you
Yes.
know,
Well, there's two elements to that. There's bringing joy to people, and then there's also how much of it is coming from you and your vulnerability. And I've found myself at times trying to execute a project that is still too fresh and still too relevant and painful or confusing in my life, and I'm trying to mold it and turn it into something that I can, you know, not capitalize on, but but get it out there and through my work, and it comes out a sloppy mess sometimes because I haven't been able to navigate it up here
Right.
and in here
Right.
yet.
Right.
So something that I'm now able to do is I've pulled up some screenplays uh, that were very confused at the time when I wrote them because I didn't know what I wanted to say because I was still very much in the moment. But now that I've had the time to work through those things, I feel like, you know, you can package it and get the message across and hopefully entertain people in the process, but also do some healing.
Right. Yeah, and that's a totally different like way of like making like you're making art for such like expression, and for me, I'm doing it to create joy, right? Like just and not that you're not trying to do, but like it's just like these different goals, right?
Oh, no, I don't fuck with
Yeah.
joy.
But actually, I want to actually be really quick before people are saying like I have Susan has said I wish we were talking back to the trailer. She goes, I wish I wasn't afraid to watch scary movies. I have to wait until the pandemic is over, but I have to see it. And then Susan says, have you seen Little Britain? I don't know what that is, so my answer is no. Have you seen it?
I have not, Susan.
Okay. And then my friend Kelly said ding ding ding, and I think that had it in relation to some to the scheduling. I think they were talking about that. And then Jackie
Uh-huh.
says that just like a second ago said, this is so relatable. I harshly criticize everything I do. Putting your stuff out there is so scary, and part of it too is like it is that like because like when live performance, like you're like, oh, that's done, okay, like nothing I could do about it. But then when you anything that has like that permanence, like I cannot change this, and someone can watch it over and over and over again, like you put this pressure on yourself, and then in the end you
Mhm.
realize, you know what, this is not as precious as I think it is,
Mhm.
and so part of that, and just kind of touching upon that, like I guess to me, like we've talked about like a lot of the struggles and but for the people watching, I would love for you to give advice of what has helped you make these things, and what has, it's like where it's like if you could give yourself some advice, give, or give other people advice, like what would you say?
Uh, you know, go easy on yourself. You know, you're not gonna do any type of good work if you are just constantly beating yourself up about
Yep.
it. Be honest with yourself. If something's working, if something's not working, if you're not ready to confront something, I think honesty with yourself above all is the most important thing, especially as an artist, because we all suffer some sort of delusions within our own selves.
Yeah.
So any moment you have of honesty and clarity about what you're doing, you know, seize it. And I don't take compliments well,
Oh
and I kind of
no.
just I discard them right away. They've always made me uncomfortable, you know, in one ear out the other, dodge eye
Oh
contact, on to the next topic.
no.
That's just the way I've always you know, kind of reacted to them, and I see now that that's
Oh
useless. So
yes.
if somebody has something nice to say about something you do, listen to it and hear it, or you know, they say don't listen to the haters, but and don't listen to the haters, but you know, constructive criticism
Sure.
is very
Oh,
valuable.
very
And
valuable. Yeah.
um but mostly it's to be kind to yourself through the process, and don't bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Actually, on my next episode, I'm going to talk about this podcast episode that I listened to. For those of you who are, it has to. This guy, I've been learning 3D modeling, and
Ooh.
yeah, it's been really really fun. I'm. It's not easy. But I mean, I plan on, I just been doing a little bit at a time, and I've actually showed some examples on this show, but part of it is he has this podcast, just and it's just mostly for like visual artists for the most part, but I think a lot of his concepts as far as finding inspiration and kind of going like moving forward in learning how to become a better artist, a big thing was to not, like initially when you're trying to do something, like try not to do stuff that is biting off more than you can chew, right? If I'm saying, oh, I want to make
Mhm.
these videos, but guess what? Now, wait, before I do anything, I have to learn 3D modeling. Like, wait, no, you don't. No,
Mhm.
I don't. So just kind of like staying within, because the thing is, again, actually, you can make some really beautiful things in parameters. With like when you have parameters and you know what those parameters are, you're like, okay, this is what I have to work
Uh-huh.
with, and
Well,
yeah,
and to continue on that is to, as you agreed with me that you do this as well, but don't be afraid to ask for help.
yep, yep.
I with this film that I just finished and released, I for years didn't want to bother anybody, but I messaged my wonderful director of photography, Carl Knight, and I said, "Hey, Carl, just want to let you know that I'm finally releasing Popsy this Halloween." And he was like, "Oh, awesome, man. Do you have somebody coloring it?"
Ah, the one,
And he
so
and
important.
I was like, "Well, I was gonna do the best I could myself," but he was like, "Send it to me." So had I just asked,
The
that could
coloring
have been
is
solved.
beautiful.
Oh, it's I'm very happy with it, and
Yes.
he did such an amazing job just shooting it the day of, on those days. But don't be afraid to ask for help, and I don't know, just know your network and know your support system, and who's your cheerleaders out there for you, because I think we focus too much on the negativity and the naysayers and the people who are waiting for you to fail. When if you just kind of take a step back, you'll see all the people that are rooting for you to succeed.
Yes. Well, I think on that note, we're gonna end this interview here. I cannot thank you enough, and I will always be here. Always, I'm gonna look at the camera that you are actually. I'm always gonna be. I'm
Hi.
always gonna be here for you, and and whatever. It's like you want to do, like your next journey into sketch comedy. I will the as soon as I get this vaccine shot in my ass, I'm gonna be in the audience clapping for you, and I know I'm
Uh,
gonna be laughing at everything that you do, and I'm just so happy that you took time to do this. I'm happy that you're just like saying, you know what, I'm just gonna release this stuff, because in the end, no matter what we do, there's always gonna be that thing. That thing like that kind of bothers you about whatever. Because even now, when you release it, you're like, oh, that one thing. But you know what? I've made,
gotta let it
you got to let
go.
it go. But then, there's been some videos that I've made for some people where I'm like, there was always that one thing that like I just couldn't fix, or I couldn't, there was no remedy for it. And then when I watch it back, I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. so, I think that people who watch this show, I always try to, if you're, whether you're trying to bake a cake, make a movie, get a degree, it doesn't matter. You just literally have to, let go of a lot of stuff to finish it.
Hmm.
And so all I'm saying for you is, and this goes for me too, we're gonna hold each other accountable when it comes to our art, where it's like, yeah, I want to be easy on myself, but I just want to create art, and nothing's ever going to be perfect, and done literally is better than perfect. So
Yep.
so I want to see more movies from you. I want to like make a short with you now that I have this camera. I want to try to see if we can like do anything. Like we don't even have to show anybody if you don't want to, but I feel like it would just be kind of fun. Like let's just film this thing in a day. I don't really know what I'm doing. Maybe you don't know what you're doing for whatever reason, of which I'm sure you would know more than me, but just to say
You'd be surprised. It takes a
it does
village
take
to make me look competent.
but I just want to and I've surrounded myself with people who are just creative and are forces of nature, and it's like earth, wind, that's why I the Captain Planet, that's why I kind of feel like in my life. So thank you so much for doing this. I
Thank
really
you.
can't thank you enough, and I definitely want to see all these, like man, when you move to the West Coast, like I'm gonna be again cheering you on, and when I go out and visit there, we're gonna hang. So
Everything you just said, right back at you. I have been a fan of yours, and now I am a friend of yours, and It's the coolest thing to be able to talk to you, and I would love nothing more than to collaborate. And if we survive this year, let's do
Yes,
something.
let's do something. And it doesn't have honestly, we probably can just if it's just a 1 minute short.
It could just be painting our toenails. I don't care.
Okay, all right. I'm okay with that. I'll have to get I don't know. I'll have to like get a pedicure before and then remove the nail polish so people won't. I have very long toes. They're very gross. Anyway, I love you. I hope you
I
have
love
a
you too,
great,
darling.
great rest of your night. And everybody, give Rob, a follow and check out his Vimeo page, which the address is right there. So, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Thank you.
You're good. Bye. Wait, look at my glasses. All right, I love you. Talk to you later. Bye. And there you have it. And I told Rob, I don't really cut off any interview. I want to just have conversations with people, and I hope that any of you got something out of that, and just kind of seeing what maybe what Rob's hangups were, and releasing these films, but really him releasing that, like it's a beautiful piece of art, and maybe he just needed that time to do that, and maybe I need this time to release my album, because I feel like it's like this launching pad for my career, and I think that's where that's where the constipation comes from, right? It's like I'm putting so much weight on it, but I'm ready to just use that enema and just get over myself. But I can't thank you guys enough. I'm gonna have a little sip of water here. Grab my guitar. Thank you again, everybody. Just again to go back to the chat. How are you going to positively contribute to the world before the end of the month? So I know that I'm going to say for me, I'm going to contribute to some food banks, local food banks for me, and that's what I plan on doing. So feel free to let me know if you plan on doing anything, even if it's just for somebody that who's in need, or just needs a little pick me up, and it doesn't have to be like this money oriented thing, or buying somebody something, just sending a text to somebody that probably could use a little pick me up. So I'm gonna turn up my volume, my reverb. Man, what song are we playing here? Let's do Please Baby Baby. Every time I see your face, I get so confused. You're giving me the runaround, it leaves me feeling used. I never thought that I would be the kind of girl to beg and plead, but oh, please, baby, baby, I know, baby, baby, that you, baby, baby, will never see the light of day, dear. And it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. I've got a feeling that I'm getting over you. I'm tired of all these silly games that you always play. It's like some kind of cat and mouse. I know I am the prey. I never thought that I would be begging for your sympathy, but oh, Please, baby, baby, I know, baby, baby, that you, baby, baby, will never see the light of day, dear. And it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. I've got a feeling that I'm getting over you. You got everybody whistling your tune. Not me, baby. I'm no fool. Next time it's gonna be me to take you by surprise and tell everybody about your lies. Well, please, baby, baby, I know, baby, baby, that you, baby, baby, will never see the light of day, dear. And it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. I've got a feeling that I'm getting over. Boom, 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 you. All right, everybody. I hope that you have a great, great rest of your week. Oh, wait, I have upcoming shows, right? I forgot about this. This Wednesday, I'm doing a little songwriter showcase on Instagram. So if you follow me there, you can go to @the Songwriter Showcase, and I will just follow me there. I think that I'm not sure. My phone's all the way over there, so I can't even tell you what time. I'm a terrible host. But guess what? December 14th is the I'm gonna be doing the show for the next couple Mondays, but then December 14th is the holiday Hoopdeedoo, and for those of you who watched the Halloween special, you know that Joanna Burns was my special guest, and we do plan on doing another lip sync for that. Some kind of, I don't know what show it will be from, but it will definitely be ridiculous. And so and there's gonna be some special guests. It's gonna be really, really, really fun. I'm really excited about it. So December 14th, please keep that in your mind because it's gonna be a blast. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And I want you to know that you don't need anyone's permission to believe in yourself. You just got to give yourself that permission. And I know that you guys are going to be accomplishing great positive things. And the rest of the year, everything's still kind of pretty weird. And we're looking probably like there's going to be another lockdown. I hope you guys are being safe and smart and not making excuses for seeing people that maybe you can wait a little bit longer to see till there's a vaccine. So please take good care of yourselves. I love you. You can do it. You can do it. Whatever it is that's in your mind. I hope that maybe tonight after the show ends that maybe you'll kind of keep something in mind positive that you can do for the world and for yourself.